A very good morning, dear students. In Introduction to Acids and Base, today we shall learn the last part of the lesson, that is base or alkali. Let's see what do we call a base as. We know an acid in solution gives H plus ion. Then what does a base gives in a solution of water? Okay, so a base or an alkali is a substance whose water solution gives rise to hydroxide ions, means OH minus ions, whereas an acid gives H plus ions. Remember this, an acid gives H plus ions, whereas a base in water, when it is dissolved in water, it is also called as alkali. Alkali gives OH minus ions or hydroxide ions. So you can see, when suppose for example sodium hydroxide is one of the base. Aqueous, AQ, means when it is dissolved in water it is called as aqueous, and when a base is dissolved in water it is also called an alkali. Therefore, here NaOH, that is sodium hydroxide, when dissolved in water, we denote it in the form of AQ. AQ means aqueous, and aqueous means now it has become an alkali once it is dissolved in water. So here sodium hydroxide alkali, when it is dissolved in water, it gives rise to two different ions. One is Na plus in the solution and OH minus ions. So all the alkalis, all the bases, when they are dissolved in water, they are called as alkali, and in alkali all the bases gives rise to OH minus ion. Not only sodium hydroxide but even all other alkalis, like for example base like sodium hydroxide. So this is a sodium hydroxide base. Okay, you can see how the powder looks like. It is colorless, white in color. This is called as potassium hydroxide. You can see sodium hydroxide is little granular type, whereas potassium hydroxide, that is the formula is KOH, is little white in a powder like. Fine. Then we have calcium hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide also. Okay, even there is another base called as ammonium hydroxide. Okay, so see, I have given you so many examples. One, sodium hydroxide is a base, KOH is base, KOH, K stands for potassium, OH means hydroxide, KOH stands for potassium hydroxide. CaOH2 means calcium hydroxide. Ca means calcium, OH is hydroxide group. And since calcium has valency equal to 2, hydroxide has 1, therefore calcium is 1 and OH becomes 2. So CaOH2. Similarly, we have magnesium hydroxide, just like that of calcium. Even magnesium has valency equal to 2, therefore OH becomes 2. Whereas OH is 1, therefore magnesium becomes 1. So MgOH2 is the formula of magnesium hydroxide. Whereas another base is ammonium hydroxide. Okay, so altogether now I have given you examples of 5 different bases. Now all these are in the powdered form, all these are in the powdered or solid form. When they are dissolved in water, instead of calling them as base, we will call them as alkali. Okay, instead of calling them as base, we will call them as alkali when dissolved in water or in their aqueous solution. Let's see what are the uses of the different types of bases, okay, and even their molecular formula. Okay, so first one is formulae of alkali and their uses. Okay, here is a table which is also given in your textbook. So the first alkali, that is sodium hydroxide, when dissolved in water, formula is NaOH, sodium hydroxide. Sodium is Na, OH means hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide is NaOH. It is also used as washing soap. It is also used as washing soap. Sodium hydroxide is commonly also called as caustic soda. Sodium hydroxide is commonly also called as caustic soda, and it is used in washing soap. When you are going to study in standard 9th about the soap, you are going to learn about sodium hydroxide, how it is getting attached to the fatty acid. Okay, sodium carboxylic acid is attached to the sodium, and hydroxide, when it is sodium hydroxide, when it is mixed with the fatty acid, you get soap. So therefore use is in the washing soap. Sodium hydroxide is used in the washing soap, whereas potassium hydroxide is used in the bathing soap, which you use for having bath and all. That soap, potassium hydroxide is used to prepare a soap, as well as shampoo, because it is mild as compared to that of sodium hydroxide. Then we have calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide is commonly called as limestone. It is commonly called as limestone. Okay, and it is used for lime washing or whitewashing. Even it is used to make the acidic soil neutralize the effect of the acidic soil. Calcium hydroxide is used. Next is magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide is also called as milk of magnesia because it is used to cure acidity problems. Therefore it is also called it is also used in antacid tablets. To make antacid tablets, magnesium hydroxide is used. So remember all these uses. Then ammonium hydroxide formula is NH4OH. It is used for the production of fertilizers of the nitrogen. Nitrogenous fertilizers are made from ammonium hydroxide. So see, so many uses are there of all these bases. We have also learned the uses of acids, so we have to learn even the uses of acids. So here it is given in the form of a table. Remember, sodium hydroxide is used to make washing soap. Potassium hydroxide, the formula is KOH, is used to make bathing soap or shampoo. Then calcium hydroxide is used for making the soil, acidic soil neutral, to make the effect of the acidic soil neutralize. Calcium hydroxide is used. Okay, it is also called as limestone, and when it is dissolved in water, it is called, that water is called as lime water. Then magnesium hydroxide is used as in the antacid tablets. Fine. And ammonium hydroxide is used in the manufacture of nitrogenous fertilizers. Let's move on to the next part of the lesson, that is neutralization. Okay, properties of the alkalis. Okay, we have learned just now uses. Now we'll move on to the properties. Properties you have already learned before when I was doing the experiment based on this. So let's see what are the different properties. You have already learned that alkali has a bitter taste. So all the bitter substances like bitter gourd and all, they are basic in nature. So they are bitter to taste. Kadu, fine. Then they are slippery or soapy to touch. Soap is prepared from sodium hydroxide. And why it is soapy? It's why it is burburi, the slippery? It's because sodium hydroxide is there or potassium hydroxide is there. Therefore, you remember they are slippery in nature. Then alkali contain hydroxide. Just now we have learned when it is dissolved in the water, bases dissolved in water is called as alkali, and these alkali contain hydroxide as the main constituent. Any base you take, whether it is sodium hydroxide you take, magnesium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, all of them have OH minus as the main constituent. Fine. And which other are called as bases? Metallic oxide. Metallic oxide means magnesium ribbon you have heard about, right? Suppose magnesium is burnt in air, it forms magnesium oxide. So magnesium oxide is also called as a metallic oxide. So these metallic oxide, if you test it with the red litmus paper, you will find that they turn blue. That means even metallic oxides are alkaline in nature. So that you have to remember. Even metallic oxides are alkaline or basic in nature. Okay, so these are some of the properties of the alkalis. That is, they have bitter taste, they are slippery to touch, main constituent is hydroxide or OH minus group. Even metallic oxides are called as basic in nature or alkaline in nature. Next, we have what is meant by neutralization. Now, in our stomach, you might be knowing about it, that our stomach has acid. Okay, in our stomach there is an acid, so that acid sometimes becomes excessive. At that time we have to have antacids. Okay, so that means antacids is a base. Okay, when acid mixes with the base, okay, what can happen? It neutralizes the effect. Neutralizes the effect means what? After neutralization, water is formed, which is neutral. Water is neutral, neither acidic nor basic. If it was acidic or basic, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have drank it any time. Fine. Therefore, neutralization is a process, nothing but reaction in which the acid reacts with a base. Acid reacts with a base to form salt and water. Okay, so acid reacts with base to form salt and water. Okay, so this is the neutralization process, wherein when an acid reacts with a base, it is forming salt and water, and once it forms salt and water, the effect of the acid or the effect of base get neutralized with each other. Fine, because water is formed and water is neutral, and whatever forms is remaining, whatever forms is a salt. For example, if we take an acid like HCl and if we take sodium hydroxide as the base, what type of salt will be formed? Salt, you can see HCl, NaOH. So Na joins with Cl to form NaCl. Okay, it forms NaCl as the salt. Sodium chloride is a salt. You know it, right? Sodium chloride is also commonly called as a common salt, which we use in our homes. So NaCl is formed when HCl combines with NaOH. And what is remaining now? You see Na has combined with Cl. Now what is remaining? H and OH is remaining. That means 2 H are remaining and 1 O is remaining. That means it will form what? Water. That is formula water, H2O. Correct? So here you can see when an acid like HCl reacts with a base, it forms its respective salt and water. Here HCl when reacts with sodium hydroxide, it will form sodium chloride plus water. Suppose HCl reacts with KOH. Do you know which salt will be formed? Okay, in place of Na, you just have to add what? K, KOH, NaOH. So Na you remove, you will put here instead of NaCl, you will write KCl. So HCl plus KOH gives you KOH plus H2O. That is KCl is nothing but potassium chloride. Fine. If instead of HCl, if we take H2SO4, that is also an acid, sulfuric acid. If we take H2SO4 and NaOH, what will be formed? Here you will get, instead of NaOH, we will get Na2SO4 and H2O. Okay, Na2SO4 and H2O. So you can have different combinations of an acid and a base, and accordingly you are going to get the salt. But what is main constituent here? Which is formed? Water. Water will be always there when an acid reacts with the base. Okay, so whenever acid reacts with the base, you remember it is also called as neutralization process, because it is getting neutralized by the formation of water and the respective salt. Respective salt depends upon which acid is used or which base is used, and accordingly the salt will be formed. But the main thing what they are forming is water. Okay, because water is neutral, therefore the process also called as neutralization. Fine, you can see how the reaction takes place. So if you take acid like HCl and NaOH, you are getting water plus NaCl. Fine. So this is regarding neutralization process. Now certain things we have to know. Okay, do you know what are the which acids are there? Which acid is there in our body? You know, in our body hydrochloric acid is present. Okay, in our stomach hydrochloric acid is present. Remember this, which helps in the process of digestion. And how it helps in the process of digestion? It helps in the breakdown of proteins. Okay, it helps in the breakdown of proteins in the body, and therefore this HCl is helping in the digestion. Protein is one of the constituent of food. So protein is broken down in the stomach with the help of HCl. Not only that, it also helps in killing certain microorganisms like bacteria and viruses. Therefore, HCl in our body, though it is concentrated, okay, it is good for digestion and even for killing the different microorganisms which may enter when you are eating food. Fine, that is why all the time, whenever sometimes we don't have a habit of cleaning our hands and then directly eating, but then sometimes nothing happens to it. It's because acid protects, the acid of your stomach protects you from some of the microorganisms. Fine, but sometimes it happens that excessive acid is produced. Sometimes whenever you are hungry, the stomach gives signal to you that you are hungry, and that time acid is produced in larger quantity. Suppose if you don't eat at that time, what can happen? This acid which is there is now has become excess in nature. Okay, it has become excessive, and instead of helping in digestion, it helps in indigestion. Means what happened? There is a layer for the mucus layer. Mucus means a slimy layer is there above the stomach. Fine. Above the stomach means inside the stomach, which protects the stomach from getting burnt from hydrochloric acid. Suppose if you don't eat whenever you are feeling hungry, what will happen? This acid will start what? Digesting the mucous membrane, and then you will have the problem of acidity. Okay, you will have you will get burning sensation inside. It's because acid has started digesting what? Your mucous membrane, and that is called as indigestion problem or acidity problem. So in that manner, in that time, what you have to do? So in that case, what you can do is that to neutralize the effect of an acid, a base is used. Therefore, base is also called, over here we call them as antacid tablets. We call them as antacid tablets. And antacid tablets mostly consist of milk of magnesia. And I have already told you, milk of magnesia is nothing but magnesium hydroxide. So such alkaline medicine neutralizes excess acid present in the stomach. Here you can see stomach contains the blue color, whatever is shown here is nothing but the acid which can be neutralized. I mean, when the excess acid is produced in the body, which may lead to indigestion, can be neutralized with the help of milk of magnesia, which is nothing but acting like the antacid. And then once milk of magnesia you have taken during acidity problem, it will have a neutralization effect, and once neutralization is over, you will have cool sensation, because here water is formed and the respective respective salt will be formed. Like for example, here it is HCl and MgOH2. So which salt will be formed? Of course, it is MgCl2, that is magnesium chloride will be formed, and along with the water. So an antacid, always remember, whenever you have acidity problem, you need to have antacid like milk of magnesia. Fine. Now let's move on to where else we can use this base. Now here antacid tablets have been used for neutralizing the effect of excessive acid in the stomach. Let's see where else we can use these base. Sometimes the acidity of the soil increases due to excessive use of chemical fertilizers. In such case, what can a farmer do? Farmer has to mix limestone or lime water in the acidic soil. Okay, so under the able guidance of an agriculturist, that means an expert who knows how to test whether the soil is acidic or basic, an agriculturist or an expert's advice is required. Suppose the the soil turns out to be acidic. To neutralize the effect of this, which base is used? It is mostly the limestone, as I mentioned to you already. Limestone or the lime water. And limestone formula is calcium hydroxide. Is mixed with the acidic soil. So such alkaline substances neutralizes the excess acid present in the soil. So here you can see the acidic soil, which can be made can be acidic soil can be neutralized by the use of calcium hydroxide, or also called as limestone. So you can see how the limestone looks like naturally. Fine. So this is regarding the whole lesson of introduction to acids and base. I hope so you have understood it thoroughly. Okay. So till we meet again in the next lesson. Thank you, dear students.